Got a tragic example of what can happen if you're not doing comprehensive financial planning and being aware of your home insurance limits as your life evolves and changes. I'm going to help you understand what happened so that you can avoid this mistake as well. That and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. All right, just a tragic, awful story from a friend of a client. So from a client about a friend of theirs, real life neighbor, so this is a true story. I'm changing some of the details to protect the innocent, but it's very easy to see something like this happen, okay? And through the comprehensive financial planning process, this shouldn't happen. You should, working with the right CFP, taking the right process of comprehensive financial planning, you shouldn't have this risk exposed to you. But I think for many people that are not taking that comprehensive approach to their financial life, this is a risk, especially right now, you've got to be significantly aware of. So here's the story. Couple buys a house, modest neighborhood here in the Midwest, about 20 years ago, ranch style house for 120 grand. Okay, so you would think not a wonderful neighborhood, nice home, but nothing extravagant, 120 grand. When they buy that house, they go to insure it with their favorite farm blank insurance company. Okay, doesn't matter. Most insurance companies have the name farm in it, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so they sit down with someone who just asks them a couple questions. There's not a deep relationship, and there's certainly no follow-up and follow-through. Hey, how much is this house worth? Blah blah blah. And they do some analysis and say, okay, your $120,000 house, we're going to insure it for around $125,000. Okay, and that's 20 years ago. And then how often do they sit down and review that with that insurance agent? Never. There's no relationship there. This couple hasn't moved. Okay, they bought that house when they had young kids. They've been in it, and within that insurance policy, because they never went back and reviewed this coverage with their agent, that $125,000 of original coverage barely increased at all over these last 20 years. Well, guess what happened? A few weeks ago, there was a random fire that happened in the house when these folks were not home. And that happened to be at a time when it was very windy and there was a storm coming in. And so the fire department got there very quickly, and the folks that we heard this story from, volunteer firefighter, got there very quickly within a matter of minutes. But because there were, I think, very high winds that day, it was a total loss. The house was completely destroyed. And what at one time, 20 years ago, was a $120,000 house and was insured for $125,000, the insurance company, after this was all settled, promptly delivered to this couple, here's a check for $150,000 to rebuild your house. That now would take $250,000, $275,000 to actually replace. Tragic scenario. Because not that anything was done wrong at the beginning. At the beginning, when the house was purchased, it was insured, let's just assume, for the correct amount. It's just over time, as the cost of building has gone up, certainly recently, and as this person's financial life has evolved, they've probably made some changes to their house, they've kept it up to date, whatever, their insurance has not kept up with the changes that have gone on in this client's life, or this couple's life, or within the economy and the housing market. Just has not kept up, because how these policies work is when you get them in place, that coverage for dwelling, coverage A on your homeowner's insurance, is either going to stay flat forever until you go in and talk to your agent, or they're going to put a cost of living adjustment attachment to it where that might increase 1% or 2% a year. But if you never go back and have them update it, it will just continue to increase just a little bit, each year without you doing anything. So why am I bringing this up right now? Number one, it's just tragic, awful story. And the reason we heard about it is this volunteer firefighter came in and said to his certified financial planner here, tell me we haven't done this. Can you please review our insurance and make sure that if something like this happened to us, we've got the right coverage? Of course they did. They did, and we broke it down for them and explained, hey, here's how all the coverages work. Here's why we've got this number here. Here's how we're going to stay up to date on this to make sure that something like this would never happen to you. But why am I bringing it up right now? Not only just this tragic example, but two, what's your house worth today? On average, houses have increased over 10% over the past year. And what about construction costs? If you had a loss, would it cost more or less to rebuild that house today than it would have 24 months ago or 36 months ago? Absolutely it would. This is the time. Everyone watching this video needs to go in and talk to their certified financial planner and their insurance agent and say, am I still covered appropriately? You might not like it if they do the analysis and it shows, you know what, you're undercovered. You need to add a little bit more coverage here. You might not like that, but I'll tell you, you'd like that much more than the experience that these folks went through, receiving a check for $150,000 and having to figure out a way to rebuild a house that's going to cost $250,000 or even $300,000 to build because prices are higher, right? That's the tragic scenario you need to avoid. Every couple of years, for our clients here, we review their home and auto insurance, and if our team of insurance professionals, insurance advisors, are serving them in that way, then they're actually going to get that review every single year to say, all right, here's how your coverage works. Here's your, here are the assets that you're protecting. Is this coverage still appropriate? How do you make sure that dwelling coverage A on your homeowner's insurance always stays up to date? It's something called a replacement cost estimator, an RCE if you're cool. You're going to work with your independent insurance agent. They're going to ask you questions. They'll get as much as they can from public records, square footage, that sort of stuff. But then they're going to review that with you and then say, all right, how much of this is builder's grade? How much is high-end material? How much hardwood? How much vinyl flooring? How much carpet? Those sorts of things. What are some of the features? And they're going to run through an analysis to make sure that you're covered for the appropriate amount. And then additionally, they might talk to you about adding some extra protection, which is the coverage I have, that says, listen, but if you happen to experience a loss at a time when supply is low and demand is high and prices are higher, we're going to give you added coverage about 20, I believe my policy is 20% above what that stated insurance amount is. So working with your CFP and a qualified independent insurance advisor, you should be able to avoid this risk. I just think it's more prevalent today. Work with your CFP on that, and they've got to be doing comprehensive planning. That comprehensive planning is going to include connecting with your insurance agent, connecting with your CPA tax advisor, connecting with other financial professionals to make sure everything is working in sync together. If your CFP is not providing that, you need another one. Okay, go out and find one. You can always contact my team, see if we can help as well. You can find us online, korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with a K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.